I am 40-something, sitting in a hammock with a dog, 7 rabbits, and a lake view. And by every measure I was told to care about, I got nothing. COVID took my job. I had to sell my house and had to find somewhere new to live. And somehow I ended up in Hungary, somewhere none of my friends could be bothered to visit, apparently. I still don't really know how I ended up here, if I'm honest. Maybe I just didn't run fast enough. Maybe I should have started training for that marathon back in second grade. Who knows? Because this wasn't the first time. I felt behind my whole life, not just lately. I mean, since I was a kid, basically. I was a terrible student, and not because I was lazy. I just, none of it would stick in my head. School felt pointless to me, and the message I kept hearing, one way or another, was she's not going to make it. She's behind. Funny enough, that exact same happened again, 30 years later, right around the time I was 40. So I learned I had to chase it. The grades, the diploma, whatever it took to catch up. Turns out chasing a piece of paper you don't even care about it is exhausting, by the way, you know. And I never really stopped. I've spent my whole life chasing things ever since. Degrees, references, jobs, people's approval. It became a habit, something I did without even noticing anymore. Until one day I asked myself, behind who? Think about it for a second. It's a strange way to live, right? You look at other people's lives and turn them into a measuring stick for your own. Someone gets married, someone buys a house, someone has kids, someone travels the whole world, looks happy doing it, and eventually you start looking at your own life, wondering why you are not further along. But further along toward what? Be honest. When was it the last time you did that? Scrolled through someone's life and quietly ranked yourself against it? At a certain age, you are supposed to know who you are, supposed to be financially secure, have the right relationship, the right friends, the right career, ideally, some kit off plan for the rest of your life. And I'm sitting here, 40 something, with a dog, 7 rabbits, and a lake view. And yeah, none of that. And when your life doesn't look like that, it's easy to feel like you messed up somewhere, even though it isn't automatically wrong, just because it looks different. A lot of the time, the real problem starts when we compare the life we are actually living to the life we think we are supposed to be living. And honestly, the older I get, the less interested I am in that comparison. Because there will always be someone with more money, more success, more friends, a bigger house, a younger face, a life that looks more exciting. If that's how you measure your life, you will never get there. There's always someone ahead of you. And eventually, you realize it's not even just achievements you're comparing, it's all of it, your choices, even your own happiness against other people's life. But you actually don't know what their lives are like. You only know what you can see from the outside, which, when you think about it, it's a pretty dumb way to keep score. I didn't even grow up with social media. I got compared plenty without it to my siblings, to kids in my class, to kids on the street I didn't even know. Somebody was always doing better somewhere, and after a while, you stop noticing it's happening. It just becomes how you see yourself, how you see everyone. And while you're busy comparing yourself to everyone else, something else happens. You stop paying attention to your own life. I started to understand that when I thought about being alone, because being alone and being lonely, those are two different things. For a long time, I thought being alone was something you were supposed to avoid. Like, if nobody was around, something had to be wrong with you. I don't see it that way anymore. Because when you're alone, you suddenly have space. Space for your own thoughts. Space to figure out what you actually want when there's nobody next to you telling you what you should want. And that space can feel pretty uncomfortable at first because we are just not used to it. The second things get quiet, we reach for our phones. I've caught myself treating my phone like it's my best friend, which, when you say it out loud, is a little concerning. But we know how to do this as kids. We could just sit there and daydream. I remember looking out the window, imagining all kinds of things. Didn't matter if any of it would ever happen. Didn't need a plan. You could just think, what if? And then we grow up, and somehow, what if turned into, what if something goes wrong? We started using our imagination to worry instead of to imagine possibilities. And somewhere along the way, that starts to feel like being responsible, right? You are an adult. You have to be realistic. Somebody has to renew the car insurance. I get it. Except there's a difference between being realistic and being afraid. And sometimes you don't even realize until much later that you've stopped making decisions based on what you actually want. You're making them based on what will keep everything from going wrong. And then, at some point, you have to ask this question: do I even want this life anymore? For me, that question kind of got answered for me back when everything fell apart at once. By every measure I would been taught, I had nothing to show for it after that. No steady job, no savings, no family of my own. And yet, here I am, right back where I was as a kid. People whispering behind my back, she's not going to make it. She's just lazy. We will see where she ends up. And maybe they're right. I genuinely don't know yet. But right now, I get to sit with my coffee in a hammock in the morning and just feel how happy I am. Happy that I get the time to actually think about all this, to figure out what I really want, who I am, what I want to give to the world. Because as you get older, the things that matter to you change too. Things you once desperately wanted approval for don't seem so important anymore. A career you were once proud of can suddenly feel empty. A friendship can stop fitting, even though it meant a lot to you once. People change, and you don't have to keep following decisions some much younger version of you made. You can change your mind. Realize you want something different. Take a complete different path. Build a life that doesn't make sense to everyone else. Mine apparently involves 7 rabbits. So, I think that is one of the biggest things about getting older. Honestly, at some point, you just get tired of presenting a version of yourself that other people find acceptable. You don't need to belong everywhere. Don't need to explain every decision. Don't need to prove your life is successful. You just want to live it, even knowing some people won't understand your choices. Some won't like them. Some will leave. That's part of it. Because if you spend your whole life trying to stay acceptable to everyone else, eventually you lose touch with yourself. These days, I would rather have an imperfect life, rabbits and all, that's mine, than a perfect one I'm only living for other people. And that's changed how I looked at my past too. I used to focus on the things I hadn't achieved. Now, I'm way more interested in who I was back then. What did I believe? What was I afraid of? What did I put up with because I thought I had no other choice? What was I trying so hard to prove? My life doesn't look the way I imagined it would at 20. But I'm not 20 anymore. So why should I still have to fit a plan I made back then? Getting older isn't about finally becoming the person you were supposed to be. It's about getting honest enough to figure out who you actually are. Is this even my life? The less I compare, the more this feels like mine. So, behind who? Turns out nobody. If you've ever felt like you're behind too, tell me in the comments. What are you behind on?